Well, we are going to do stuff focused on the legs, so we'll see how that goes. Let's make sure we've got 2 blocks and a blanket, and then we're going to start lying on our backs. And I guess since it's just the 2 of us today, if anything comes up where you guys have questions, by all means, just ask. So once you find yourself on your back, I invite you to notice where you can spread the arms, whether you need to widen them a little bit further, right to left, so it feels like the backs of the shoulder blades are really hugging onto the back and resting into the floor. And then notice what you notice in terms of the weight in the hips, if one hip feels a little bit more rooted than the other. And then notice what's happening in the back of the head, if you can extend the back of the neck so it's as long as the front of the neck. And then you'll just take an audible exhale out of your mouth. Yeah. And then take a big breath in through the nose. And another audible exhale. And then last time, big breath in. And audible breath out. And then from here, just gently close your lips and see if you can still invite in a deep and steady inhalation and a deep and steady exhalation. Through the remainder of our practice, as usual, we'll continue to check in with the breath and see how long, how smooth, how seamless we can make our breath. And so as we're here for the next couple of breath cycles, I invite you to notice just how you can start to refine the breath here and now in this position. That might mean you just to soften a little bit more at the end of the exhalation, or soften a little bit more at the top of your inhalation. Keeping your breath pretty steady, walk your feet so they're hip distance apart, keeping the legs straight. And then on your next exhale, draw your left knee into your chest, keeping your arms on the floor. So with your left knee coming into your chest, really drag or pull that knee into your chest. And then just take 5 slow ankle circles one way. And as you're doing this, continue to stay attentive to the breath. Continue to notice how full you can make your circles. So sometimes squats and lunges and things become really challenging for us because our ankles aren't fully strong nor fully mobile. After you've done 5 circles one way, go the other way. And so we're just taking this opportunity to sort of make you do a little bit of sneaky core work, as Erica would call it, as well as rotating through the full range of motion in your ankle. Awesome. Once you've done 5, go ahead and come to stillness. The next exhale, see if you can draw the knee a little closer to your chest, just using the abdominal organs, the psoas specifically. Yeah. And then, or abdominal muscles. Inhale, start to kick your right foot up towards the sky, straightening the leg. Yep. And then exhale, bend the knee, hug the knee into the chest. And you've got about 5 of these. And as best as you can, see if you can leave your hands on the floor. Just trying to straighten and bend that leg. And you'll notice that when you go to your full range of motion, straightening the leg, you might find that this actually starts to engage quite a bit of muscles around the leg, maybe even around the abdomen. And you're just following your breath. The next time your right leg is straight, go ahead and stay there. If you can, keep your hands on the floor. If it feels like you need the support, bring your hands to the back of the thighs. And then you'll just flex and point your foot. And just notice what that feels like, to really extend up through the heel as you flex, and to really pull down through the toes when you flex. And then really reach up through the toes when you point. And just feel what that feels like. Fantastic. Go ahead and come to stillness here. Point your foot, reaching the toes all the way up. And then exhale, bend the knee, hug the knee into your chest. Great. Go ahead and release the hands if you took the shin, and then you're going to take 4 slow circles. Now with your hands on the floor, I want you to see if you can keep your hips rooted as you create giant circles with your knees. And so the hips don't move. Yep, and so the circle might have to be a little bit smaller. There we go. And we're just trying to breathe as we do this, feeling the muscles start to engage specifically when we open the leg out to the right. And then after you've done 4 circles one way, go ahead and switch directions. And again, make sure that you're breathing. Do you notice if your hands are gripping the floor for dear life, or are you able to use the core to move the leg? Yeah, fantastic. Once you've done 4 each direction, go ahead and come to stillness. Plant your foot on the floor and then slide your right foot forward to meet the left foot. And then just notice what you notice, taking a couple of deep breaths, seeing if you feel any difference between your right side and your left side. Nice. And then when you're ready, at the bottom of your exhale, draw your left knee up towards your chest. And you just pause there for a few breaths, seeing if you can really engage your psoas and pull the knee closer. And then take those 5 slow ankle circles one direction. Again, checking in with the breath, noticing how that's working here. Yeah. Once you've gone 5 circles one way, switch directions. And again, making the circle as big as you can. So we're trying to both strengthen as well as mobilize our ankle joint. Nice work. Okay, once you've done 5 both directions, find yourself in stillness. Next, in breath, start to extend your foot up towards the sky, pulling the muscles on the legs around the bones. And then exhale, hug the knee into the chest. Yep, and you've got 4 more just like that. Every time you inhale, really extend up through the leg, reach up through the foot. And as you exhale, really draw the knee as close to your chest as you possibly can. Yep, and you're just pausing and you're breathing. Awesome. We've got 2 more. Nice work. The next time your left leg is extended, go ahead and pause there. And you just pause and you breathe. Really reach up through the heel as you flex the foot and draw the toes down, and then you'll point through the toes and reach up. And so you'll just point and flex your foot a couple times here. And then your leg that's still on the floor, make sure you're still actively engaged with that one. Nice job. Okay, the next time you point your foot, pause. Exhale, bend the knee into your chest. Really hug the knee in by scooping the abdominal organs and pulling the knee up. Great. Now, when you're ready, start to make a few circles with the knee. And your primary task is really to root down into that opposite hip to make sure that it doesn't move. And you make the circles as big as you can, control the movement. And after you've gone 4 circles one way, you pause and you go the other direction. Nice work. Once you've done 4 circles one way and 4 circles the other way, you'll come to stillness, come to neutral. Plant the foot on the floor, and then extend your right leg forward to meet your left. And you just pause and you breathe, and you notice if you notice anything different between the sides. Fantastic. On your next exhalation, bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. From here, bring your hands alongside your hips. And then I want you to just take a few little pelvic rocks here. So inhaling, arching the low back away from the floor, exhaling, imprinting the low back, curling tailbone towards your knees. And you're just noticing what that feels like to rock across the sacrum. And then when you've done about 4 or 5 of those, try to find your neutral center spot. Root down into your big toes. Inhale, lift your hips, lift your arms up and overhead and find a bridge pose. And then as you exhale, bring the hands and the hips back down to that starting position. Great. And you've got 4 more just like that. So inhale, press through the feet, lift the hips, lift the arms, roll through the spine. And then exhale, roll through the spine, lower the hands, lower the hips. And as you do these next few sets on your own, notice if you can start to extend the breath to be a little bit longer than the movement. Yeah. Seeing if you can lengthen the breath to be a little bit longer than the movement. Yeah. And you notice that that just makes the movement a little bit longer too. Fantastic. This next time, just inhale, lift your hips, keep your hands on the floor. And as you stay here, some of you might grab the outer edges of your mat. You might interlace your hands underneath you. Wherever you choose to be, again, really root down into the big toe mound of your feet. Pull your heels back isometrically so you can feel your underbutt start to engage. And then notice where you need to press down on the upper arms, the wrists, the forearms, maybe even the back of the head to broaden across the chest. And then you've got 1 to 2 more breath cycles, seeing how you can make the breath longer and fuller and deeper. At the end of your next exhalation, unclasp the hands, untuck the shoulders, and roll your spine down bone by bone. When your pelvis hits, open the arms into a T shape. And then widen your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Great. Stay here. I want you to pay attention to the soles of your feet. On your next exhale, let your legs fall to the left. Keep the feet on the floor, soles of the feet on the floor. Yep, and then inhale, come back up through center. And then exhale, go to the right, keeping the soles of the feet on the floor. So you'll notice you don't go as far. Inhale, come back through center. Now we'll add on. Go back to the first side as you exhale. And then let the feet come off the floor. Notice how the knees can go a little bit further. Yeah. Next, in-breath, feet come to the floor first, then knees come up. And then exhale, go to the other side. Knees go first, then the feet come off. Yep. Then the feet come back on, then the knees come back up. Great. You've got 2 more on your own. And we're just trying to articulate the ankles further, as well as articulating through the hip joints. And you're just noticing how this changes the sensation of the movement by separating things out. The next time you go to the right, you'll just go ahead and stay there for a few breaths. You might choose to cross your right ankle on the top of your left thigh. You might choose to stack both knees in this little figure 4 twist. And you just pause and you breathe. And you pause and you breathe. Next inhalation, release and come back to your back. And then you'll try that on the other side. So now the legs are going to go over to your left. And maybe you cross the left ankle on top, maybe not, but you pause and you breathe. You pause and you breathe. Nice job. Next inhale, come back up through center. As you exhale, both feet onto the floor. And then let's go ahead and extend our right arm alongside our ears, roll over onto the right side, and continue to come up to hands and knees. When you find yourself in hands and knees, if you need to put your blocks to the upper corners of your space, please do that. If you need to pad your knees, please do that. Fantastic. And then from hands and knees, just take a couple cats and cows and just feel what that feels like to find some more rotations across the sacrum and the hip sockets. We've done a lot of things already to start to lubricate the pelvis and the hips, and just notice if that feels any different in your cat cows now. Nice. And then let's find ourselves in a neutral position. Okay. Push down through your hands, draw your low belly in, and then slide your right foot back. Great. Curl the toes under, and maybe you pulse a little forward and back just to feel a little stretch in the back of your right calf. Once you've done enough of that for you, you'll come to stillness. Center the weight in the middle between your hands and your knees. Draw your low belly in and float your right leg parallel to the floor. Now, let's lift a little higher through our inner right thigh. Yep. Press back through the whole sole of your right foot. Yes. And then lift your heads parallel-ish to the floor. Great. Exhale, lower the knee down. Let's try that on the other side. Slide your left foot back, curl the toes under, maybe pulse a little bit forward and back. Again, just feeling what you feel. Awesome. And then when you're done with that, you'll come to stillness. Center the weight, draw the low belly in, and then float your left leg parallel-ish to the floor. Fantastic. Now dial your outer left hip down just a little bit. There you go, Laura. And then reach back so much through the whole sole of the foot. Draw the low belly in and lift your head parallel-ish to the floor. Yep. And then you just pause and you breathe. And then exhale, lower the leg down. Okay. On your own, inhale, float your right leg parallel to the floor. And then exhale, lower the leg down. Inhale, float your left leg parallel to the floor. Exhale, lower down. 2 more on your own. Just finding your breath, seeing if you can find the length in the spine as you lift the leg, the tone in the core as you lift and lower the leg. Last set. Nice. Okay. Go ahead and bend your right knee even more. Draw your right heel close to your pelvis. So that's weird as mud. Right knee even more. Right heel close to pelvis. And then lift your right thigh parallel to the floor. Fantastic. Keep squeezing your right heel towards your glute. Inhale, open your right leg to the right. Draw it down towards your elbow. And then exhale, draw the knee back and behind you. So we're just creating circles. So exhaling when we're drawing the knee in towards our elbow, and inhaling when we're creating the circle out to the right and up behind us. And you'll just do 4 little circles, still trying to squeeze your heel towards your butt the whole time. After you've done 4 circles, you'll switch directions. So exhaling, elbow towards the knee, or knee towards the elbow rather, open the leg out. Okay. And then check in with your head, see if it's falling towards the floor, yep, or if you can keep it centered. Okay. After you've done 4 on this side, go ahead and come to stillness, come back to center. And then we'll try that on the other side. So you'll draw your left heel closer to your butt, bending the knee, keeping that, and then lifting your left thigh parallel to the floor. As you inhale, open the left knee to the left, and then exhaling, drawing it towards your left elbow, down towards your right knee, and then up behind you. And you've just got 4 of these. And this is still just dealing with the circles that we've been working with earlier. And you're just noticing how in this orientation, it's a little bit harder on the core. Yeah, nice work. After you've done 4, go ahead and switch directions. And then notice if there's any unnecessary tension in your mouth. See if you can let that go. Nice job. Okay, after you've done 4 on both sets, go ahead and lower the knee down. Curl both sets of toes under, and we'll sit ourselves back for toe squat. I'm just going to face this way for today. So when you're in your toe squat, make sure your pinky toes are curled under and you're sitting super tall. And then we're going to go ahead and reach our arms forward like zombies. Cross your left arm on top, right arm on underneath, and maybe you give yourself a hug. Maybe you bring backs of palms to touch. Maybe you bring fronts of palms to touch, but you might choose to stay here. You might choose to round your upper back a little bit. You might choose to lift and lower the elbows, but you're just noticing what feels appropriate for you, and you're breathing here for a couple breath cycles, feeling what's happening in your upper back, what's happening in your feet, what's happening in your breath. And then as you're ready, we'll gently come to stillness. If you're in movement, unwind the arms and switch whichever arm was on top. So now the right arm crosses over. Maybe you give yourself a hug. Maybe backs of palms come to touch. Maybe fronts of palms come to touch. But you choose which option is best for you. And then notice if you're moving, maybe elbows up and down, maybe rounding upper spine, maybe none of the above. And you just pause and you breathe. Fantastic. Those that are in movement, come in stillness. Gently unwind your arms. Last thing, interlace hands at low back. Draw shoulders up towards your ears, shoulder blades down the back, and reach the hands either directly down to the floor or down and back behind you, maybe lifting the heels of the hands away from your pelvis. And you've got about 3 breath cycles here. Our toes are probably very much not happy here, and so just take your last breath. And then when you're ready, release the hands, come forward onto hands and knees, extend the tops of the feet to the floor and pitter patter your toes, having a happy little temper tantrum if you'd like. And then when you're ready, shift the weight back and lift one end or both knees and shins off the floor. Fantastic. Okay. Now from here, let's go ahead and we're going to come forward onto hands and knees. And I want you to plant your hands directly underneath your shoulders. And then again, slide your left foot back, coming into that calf stretch. Slide the right foot back to meet it, and you'll find yourself in plank. And you'll just pause here for a few breaths in plank, really pushing down through the L shape of your hands, lifting up through the inner armpits, seeing if you can lengthen your tailbone back to your heels and lightly squeeze your glutes. Next, exhale, lift your hips up and back to a downward facing dog. Now, when you find yourself in this down dog, notice if you just want to shift your hips a little right to left, like you're wagging your tail, and feel what that does on the legs and the side body and your shoulders as well. And then maybe you want to notice what happens if you just bend one knee and then the other, keeping the pelvis relatively neutral. And how does that feel in the legs, the side body, and the shoulders? And you'll choose whichever option feels best for you right now. Okay, and then let's go ahead and come to stillness. Inhale, come forward to plank one more time. Now pause here, this time in plank. I want you to see if you can make your legs more active in this shape than your arms. So for some of us, that may mean we need to slide our weight back just a little. Yep. Hug our inner thighs, our outer hips towards the midline. Great. Keep that. Exhale, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now in this down dog, see if you can draw your ears in line with your shoulders. Yep. Draw your front ribs away from the floor. Yep. And then lift your hips to where the wall and the ceiling meet. Yeah. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. Now, hug your inner thighs towards each other and see if you can lift up through the right heel even more as you reach down through the left. Exhale, right knee to nose. Fantastic. Now plant your right foot quietly between your hands. Great. This is a time where you might want to bring your hands to your blocks or keep your hands on the floor. It's totally up to you. Spin your left foot, that's the back foot, down to the floor for a warrior 2 legs, and then bring both hands to the inside edge of your front foot. Walk your hands over to the upper left corner of your space, and you're going to push your bum back towards the lower right-hand corner of your space. So the left foot's down in warrior 2, the right foot's bending out in a warrior 2. Your hips are reaching back to the back lower right corner of your mat, and you're just pausing and you're breathing. Nice work. On your next exhale, walk the hands underneath you, right hand on the inside edge of your right thigh. Now, draw your outer right hip straight back, So lower, bring your right hand to the inside edge of your right leg. There you go. And maybe you're still on a block if you'd like. And then you'll start to roll your rib cage to the left and then reach your left arm straight up towards the sky. And you just pause here and you breathe. And you draw that outer right hip back and you notice what it feels like to be in an extended side lunge this early in your practice. On your next exhale, go ahead and lower your left hand to the floor, pivot to the ball of your back foot, step back to plank pose once again, and you just pause and you breathe. Again, shift the weight back just a little bit so you can feel more weight in your legs, more activation in your legs. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Let's try the other side. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. Yep. Hug into your midline. Yeah, and then lift your inner left thigh a little bit more. Reach that right heel down. Nice job, guys. Exhale, left knee to nose. Fantastic. Plant the foot between your hands. Yeah. And then from here, maybe hands come to blocks, maybe not. Spin your back foot down for warrior two, and then bring both hands to the inside edge of your left foot, your front foot. Now with your legs in warrior two, walk your hands over to the upper right corner of your space, and then press your pelvis back behind you, closer towards, I guess, the lower left corner of your mat. And you're noticing if you can still draw your outer left hip in, root down the right pinky toe, and just pause and breathe here. Weight stays in your legs as your torso extends out from there. Great. Fantastic. Start to walk your hands back underneath your chest. Keep your left hand on the inside edge of your left leg. And then inhale, reach your right arm up towards the sky for extended side angle. And you're noticing that you can draw that outer left hip back even more. You're wrapping your left ribs under your right ribs on top. Nice work. On your next in breath, start to unwind, lowering the right hand to the floor, pivoting to the ball of the back foot, step back to plank. Great. Now this time, I want you to pay attention to what's happening in your shoulders. Let's inhale and shift our weight forward. As you exhale, draw the shoulder blades onto your back body, reach your heart forward and lower all the way down. Shoulders onto back body, heart forward, lower all the way down. Nice. Good job, guys. Okay. Keep your hands in line with your nipples. Bring the tops of the feet to the floor. Draw your shoulders up towards your ears and draw the shoulder blades onto your back. Now, as you inhale, push into your hands and pull your heart forward. As you exhale, see if you can hug your shoulder blades together on your back a little bit more. Press down into your feet. Nice work. Nice breath. Exhale, lower all the way down. Curl your toes under. Draw your low belly in. In one motion, either come up to hands and knees or come up to plank. So belly stays in. There we go. Nice job, guys. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Great. Take a breath here. And then just notice, can you take another breath? How smooth, how seamless, how full is the breath? Very similar to what you were talking about earlier, Jenny. There's so many things that are constantly vying for our attention. And the only way to actually help us calm our mind and find a sense of groundedness is for us to reclaim that power by steadying it, by focusing. All right, next in breath, you'll raise to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, step or float top of space. Fantastic. When you get to the top of your space, separate your feet about hip distance apart. And then inhale, halfway lift. Pause here. Really broaden through your collarbones. Really send your pubic bone back and see if you can find a little bit more length. Nice job. Next, exhale, fold in a little bit more, coming into Uttanasana. Let's slide our hands to the outer edges of our shins. Push your palms into your outer shins. Press your outer shins into your palms. Inhale, lift your spine forward and up, coming to Ardha Uttanasana, still holding on to your outer shins. As you exhale, bend your knees. Now push your hands into your shins even more, your shins into your hands, hands into shins. Fantastic. From there, notice how deep you are in your Utkatasana. See if you can keep that. Release your hands back behind you. Sit your butt low for chair. Now I want you to really activate your hands. So spread wide through the palms, reach out through the fingertips, sit your butt low. On your next in-breath, push down through the feet, straighten the legs. Notice how what it takes to bring the spine up to vertical, to lengthen the tail down, to lift up through the heart. Great. Keep your hands active. Shift the weight to your right leg, float your left leg up. Same thing we did on the belly on the floor. And notice how this is a little bit easier now. On your next exhale, bend your right leg, cross the left ankle on top, bring your hands to heart center. Now start to hinge at your hips, sending your butt back, bending your right knee even more, reaching your elbows to the inner edge of that left knee and left ankle. Maybe they touch, maybe fingers come down to blocks underneath you, but you just pause and you breathe and you pause and you breathe. Fantastic. Okay. On our next in-breath, root down through your right leg, come back up, really hugging that left knee to our chest. And then exhale, release the foot to the floor. Release your hands alongside your hips. Take a moment to just notice what you notice. Great. Shift the weight to your left leg. Start to float your right leg up. And again, the hands are reaching down, the left leg's reaching down, the right knee's reaching up. Next, exhale, start to bend your left knee, cross the right ankle on top, draw your hands to heart center, hinge your hips forward, or rather your heart forward, your hips back, and then start to extend your elbows down toward your inner right shin, right knee, and you just pause and you breathe. Maybe you reach the hands to the blocks underneath you, maybe you don't. Nice work, guys. Next in breath, root down through the left leg. Come back up, hug that right knee up towards your chest. And then exhale, release the foot, release the hands. Fantastic. All right. Still with feet hip distance apart. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. And then exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. From there, inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms. Let's keep our arms straight this time and step back to plank pose. So same shape we've been in quite a few times already. Yeah, nice work there, Laura. And then you just pause and you just breathe. And you notice what this feels like. Lift up through those inner armpits, press down through the L shape of your hands. There you go, Jenny. Next, exhale, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Nice. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. This time, bend your left knee, open and stack your left hip, and notice what it feels like to be a little dog at a hydrant and feel how that feels. Great. Exhale, draw your left knee to your nose, round through your spine, and plant your left foot between your hands. Great. Maybe hands come to blocks, maybe not. Spin your right foot down for warrior one. And then inhale, come up for Virabhadrasana 1, warrior 1. Nice job, ladies. Okay, now pause. Notice what you need to happen in your legs in order for you to find stability here. Maybe you need to wiggle walk the feet a little bit further right to left. Maybe you need to press more on the right pinky toe, externally rotating the right thigh as the right outer hip comes forward. Yeah. Now from here, let's go ahead and release our hands to our low back and interlace our hands at the webbing. Draw the shoulders up towards your ears and draw the shoulder blades together on the back and maybe lift the heart space a little bit more. Fantastic. And you just pause and you breathe. How smooth is your breath here? How seamless is your breath right here, right now? And it doesn't need to be perfect. The task really is just to notice when it's not, and that's our anchor. On your next in-breath, bring your hands to your hips. Reach your right arm up and overhead, straight up, And then straighten your left leg long. Now, when you're ready, inhale, reach up through that right arm, and then reach forward, out, and down as you exhale, maybe lowering right hand to block or floor underneath your right shoulder. And then some of you will stay here, lightly pulling your outer left hip back and pulling your heart forward, really pressing down into your left big toe, and just feel what that feels like. Some of you might lower your left hand to a block too, and just feel how that feels to be in pyramid pose proper. And if you've taken that option, maybe you peel the sole of your foot up and away from the floor, and you pause and you breathe there. And you just pause and you breathe, and you pause and you breathe. And so some of you will stay here. Some of you will lower that sole of the foot to the floor if it was lifted, and redraw your left hand to your left hip. And then you might lift the spine parallel to the floor and then start to push down into the right fingertips, scoop the belly on the left side, and maybe rotate your rib cage to the left to find a revolved triangle. You just pause and you breathe. Maybe the left hand stays at the left hip, the left shoulder blade comes onto the back body, maybe the left arm reaches up. You just pause and you breathe. Your task every time is to just check in with your breath. That's the anchor. It lets us know if we've gone too far, if we need to pull back, or if we can go further. Fantastic. If your left hand's lifted, lower your left hand back to the floor. Inhale, bend the front knee, shift to the ball of your back foot. And then as you exhale, step back to plank pose and just pause there for a few breaths. Lift up through the inner thighs, reach back through your heels a little bit more and forward through the crown. Yeah. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, let's try the other side. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and back. As you exhale, bend the knee open and stack the hip. Yeah, and as you do that, notice what happens in the shoulders. Can the weight stay equally into the right hand as the left? As you open the right knee up and maybe stack the right hip on top. Yeah. Okay. Exhale, draw the right knee forward, knee to nose. And then plant your foot between your hands. Great. Step your left foot to the left slightly and put it down for warrior one. Yep. Maybe hands come to blocks or stay on the floor. But then when you're ready, inhale, come up. Nope, you're good, Laura. And then just take a few breath cycles to settle yourself here. Do you need to wiggle walk the feet a little bit further right to left? Do you feel like you need more of a distance front to back? How can you still externally rotate that front thigh? There you go. Yeah. And root down through your left pinky toe. On your next exhale, arms open out, and then take the awkward opposite interlace behind you. Yeah, and then notice. So we've got the shoulder blades coming up and back behind us. We've got the heart lifted. Notice if there's any tension around your chest where your gaze is. Is there a natural elongation through the spine? Fantastic. On your next exhale, draw your hands to your hips. Inhale, reach your left arm up. And then exhale, straighten your right leg long. Next in-breath, reach up, forward, and down, lowering your left hand to block or floor underneath your left shoulder. And then again, you might choose to stay here, really reaching the spine parallel-ish to the floor, pulling your outer right hip back. You might choose to lower your right hand to the block or the floor underneath your right shoulder. You might choose to peel the sole of that right foot up and away from the floor and pause for a few breaths there. If you're happy staying there, by all means, stay there. If you'd like to try reversed or revolved triangle, you'll lower the right foot to the floor. You'll draw your right hand back to your right hip, drawing the outer right hip back, reaching the heart forward, pressing down into the left hand, and then scooping belly on the right side and rotating towards the right. Maybe just drawing shoulder blade onto back, maybe extending up through right arm. You just pause and you breathe. Nice. When you're ready, inhale, lower the right hand back down to the floor. Bend your front knee, pivot to the ball of your back foot. Step back to plank pose this time. Okay. On your next in-breath, shift your weight forward. Again, as you exhale, hug the shoulder blades onto the back body. Heart reaches forward, stomach, belly, and chest all touch at the same time, or belly, hips, and chest all touch at the same time. Yeah, nice job. Okay, so let's press into the tops of our feet. Let's energize our legs. Press down through your pubic bone and then scoop your belly button up towards your face. Now push down through your hands. Pull your heart forward. Draw the shoulder blades onto the back body and see if you can lift your chest a little bit more. Okay. Now for today, I want you to really pay attention to what's happening in your pubic bone. Press your pubic bone straight down into the mat and then scoop your belly up towards your face. Keep that contact and then lift your legs up and away from the floor, keeping them active. And again, re-engage pubic bone down, draw the low belly up. Now, from there, float your hands up and away from the floor. Now, pay attention to the crevice in your back. See if you can deepen that crevice by hugging your shoulder blades together more on your back. And you'll notice your hands slide back just a bit. See if you can reach the heart forward, lift the inner thighs up, press your pubic bone down, and breathe for 3. Breathe for 2. Breathe for 1. Listen closely. Slide your hands back an inch. Put your hands down, straighten your arms, bring the tops of the feet to the floor and come up to upward facing dog. Yeah. And you just pause. How does the chest feel? How can you broaden across the collarbones? There you go. And then as you're ready, curl over your toes and make your way back to downward facing dog. And you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. How's the breath? How's the body? How are you? Fantastic. All right, inhale, press to the balls of your feet. As you exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, step or float, top of space. Yeah, nice job, guys. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Yep, really send your pubic bone back. And then exhale, fold all the way in, really letting your head be super duper 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 heavy. Now again, bring your hands to the outer edges of your shins. Make sure your fingertips point down, and then you'll inhale, halfway lift. From here, really push your hands into your shins, and then really push your shins into your hands, root down through your feet, send your pubic bone back. Next, exhale, bend your knees. Keep pushing your shins into your hands into your shins. See how far you can bend your knees. From there, you'll bring your spine up to vertical. You'll reach your hands back and come back to Utkatasana. Find that crevice in the space between your shoulder blades. So hug the shoulder blades together. Keep the hands active. Sit the butt low. Fantastic. Next, in breath, push down through the feet, straighten the legs, come up to stand Tadasana. Awesome sauce. Okay, now again, you're going to keep lengthening your tailbone down, rooting down through the legs, extending out through your arms. Shift the weight to your right leg. Start to float your left leg up, hugging the knee towards your chest. Great. Cross the thigh over, bend the right knee, and see if you can wrap your left foot around your right calf. From there, you'll reach your arms forward, wrap your left arm under, right arm on top, and maybe double wrap the arms. And you just sit for a few breaths in Garudasana. And you just notice how this is going, how you're breathing. When you're ready to come out, the arms come out first, extending alongside your hips. Root down through the right leg, lift up through the left, and plant the foot on the floor. Nice job. And then we'll try that on the other side. So again, activate the arms, activate the legs, engage the belly to float your right leg up. Then other right leg, Laura, or if you did the other side, do the other side. Bend your left leg, cross the right thigh over, maybe wrap the right toes around the outside edge of your left calf. Arms then come forward, and then again, you wrap your right arm on top, left arm underneath. Maybe just give yourself a hug or double wrap the arms, and you sit for Garudasana. And you breathe for 3. You breathe for 2. You breathe for 1. Today we unwind the arms first, letting them be active. Root down through the left leg, float up through the right. and then release the foot to the floor. Fantastic. And then just take a moment to notice what you notice. How's the breath? How's the body? How are you? Okay, turn to face the long edge of your mat and separate your feet about 3 feet apart. Turn your heels in, your toes out, and pop a squat for goddess. And we're gonna lock out our arms today. So you really take your arms and find that traction in the spine by pushing your hands against the inner thighs. And you might stay center and still. You might take a rotation towards the right and just feel what that feels like as you push against the left inner thigh, how that feels across your belly. And then you'll inhale and come center and then take a rotation to your left. And again, you just pause and you breathe and you feel what that feels like across the inner right thigh, across the belly. And then you'll inhale and come back to center. Maybe you'll do that one more time each side and you just pause and you breathe and you notice what you notice. Okay, and then go to the other side if you haven't. Nice work. And then let's come back to center. Bring both hands to heart center and we'll sit for a few breaths. And you might pulse a little bit up and down if your legs are like, I am having it. And we'll breathe for 3. We'll breathe for 2. We'll breathe for 1. Go ahead and straighten the legs long. Turn the feet parallel and bring your hands to your hips. Now, if you are someone whose hamstrings are pretty open, walk your feet in a bit. If your hamstrings feel less than open, walk them a little bit wider. From there, draw the shoulders up towards your ears, draw the shoulder blades on your back, and then you'll start to hinge forward halfway. Once you're halfway, pause, lower your hands underneath your shoulders, and then allow your head to continue its descent towards the floor. Now, when you're here today, I'd like you to bend just your left knee. With just your left knee bent, I want you to see if you can pull your outer left hip back as you press on the pinky toe edge of your right foot. And we're trying to find a stretch on the inside edge of our right inner thigh. And then you'll inhale and you'll come back through center, straightening both legs. And then we'll try that on the other side. So you'll bend just your right knee. You'll draw the outer right hip back. You'll press the left pinky toe down to the floor. And we're just looking for a stretch on the inside edge of our left leg. Nice job. Go ahead and straighten both legs. Come back through center. Inhale, halfway lift. And then as you exhale, draw one hand to one hip, the other hand to the other hip. Slightly bend your knees and inhale, come all the way up to stand. When you're vertical, go ahead and bend the knees and step or float the feet together. Then return to the top of your space. And our last Surya Namaskar A. Feet hip distance apart. Inhale, circle, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge forward at your hips. Uttanasana, forward fold. From there, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And then as you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, and with straight arms, step back to plank pose. Nice there, Laura. And then you just pause, you breathe. When you're ready, you'll shift your weight forward. The hips, the belly, and the chest all touch at the same time. Shoulder blades hug onto the back, head stays lifted. Yeah. Okay. And this is a little bit of a psych out, so I'm giving you fair warning. Go ahead and bring one ear to the mat. Okay. Whichever way you're looking, bend that knee, draw that heel to your butt, and grab that foot. And we're just trying to find a little bit of a quad stretch here. So notice what it feels like again to really root your pubic bone down into the floor, to draw your belly button up towards your face. And you just pause and you breathe. And then see if the foot that's holding the hand that's holding the foot, see if you can draw that shoulder blade even closer to the midline of your back. Just feel what that feels like. Great. And then let's go ahead and release. And you'll try that on the other side. So turn your gaze to the other side, bend that knee, grab that foot. And then again, notice what it feels like. Can you really root your pubic bone down? Press it into the mat. Draw the low belly in. The foot or the hand that's holding on to the foot. See if that shoulder blade can come more into the midline of your body. Great. And let's go ahead and release that. Okay. This time you're going to bend both knees. Bring your forehead to the mat and reach around and grab the outside edges of both ankles. So here's where the psych out comes in. I want you to bring your awareness first to your pubic bone, your pelvis. Really push your pubic bone straight down for today. Okay, and then scoop your low belly up towards your sternum. Now from here, draw the shoulders up towards your ears. Draw your shoulder blades together on your back. And then see if you can really squeeze your shoulder blades together on your back to lift your ears in line with the tops of your shoulders. Yeah. And then when you're ready, you'll see if you can pull your heart forward and lift your chest a little bit higher. And then when you're even further ready, you might decide to start to kick your feet back. Again, push your pubic bone down, scoop the low belly in, and then hug the crevice together on your shoulder blades on the back body. And you just pause and breathe. And you take about 4 to 5 breath cycles for you. Press your pubic bone down, kick your feet back, hug the shoulder blades together. And when you're done, you gently release back onto your abdomen. You take a breath and you notice what you notice. Nice work, guys. Nice work, guys. And you just take a few breaths. And then as you're ready, forehead comes to the mat, hands come alongside your rib cage. Press yourself back to downward facing dog. And in the down dog, this is just to traction out the spine. So if you want to get there and you be completely still, fantastic. If you get there and you want to shift your hips a little right to left like a dog, wagging its tail, fantastic. Maybe cats wag their tails too, I don't really know. But you just pause there, and the focus is really keeping the spine super long and finding more length. Great. And then when you're ready, bend your knees, lower your knees to the mat, cross your ankles, and go ahead and sit down. Okay. When we're seated, we'll then draw the soles of our feet in towards each other and close towards our pelvis. Wrap your hands around the outer edges of your feet and see if you can sit super, super duper tall. And again, we're just trying to have the heart come through the gates of our arms, really tall, long chest. Press the feet into each other, lift the spine long. If you're happy there, you might choose to stay there. You might choose to hinge forward at the hips, keeping the spine as long as you can. As you come forward, the elbows might be able to press into the inner edges of your thighs, and then you might start to round the upper back so your head can come down towards your toes. But you just choose what option works best for you, and you pause and you breathe. Nice work. If your head came down, on your next in-breath, find length through the spine and come all the way back up to sit. Great. Hands will now come to the outer edges of your thighs. Close your knees together like a book and extend your legs long in front of you. Okay, and then we're going to sit as tall as we can for a moment in Dandasana, staff pose. Awesome. Bend your left knee, put your left foot on the floor. Grab your left ankle with your left hand. Swing your left foot outside of your left hip, and we're going for a Virasana shape. Now, if this is not working for you, you can always sit up on a blanket or a block. If you're happy there, you stay there. You might bring your hands back behind you. You might lift your pelvis up, slide your tailbone forward, and maybe lower onto your forearms. If you're happy there, stay there. If you want to lay all the way down onto your back, by all means do that as well. We're just looking for a stretch across the belly of our left thigh, not in our hip and not in our knee. And you'll just take a few breaths here, noticing what this feels like. If you are all the way down on your back, notice what it feels like if you bring your arms over your head and grab opposite elbow. Just adds a little bit more length across the front of the torso generally. We've just got 2 more breath cycles here. Awesome. And if you are all the way down, your hands will gently release if they're clasping. Now you will figure out how it works best for you. Some of you might just choose to roll towards the long leg side, so your left side. Some of you might choose to come all the way up to sit. So it depends on what works best for you. Okay. And then if you did come all the way up, release that left ankle and return back to Dandasana. Cool. And then we'll try that on the other side. So bend your right knee, grab your right ankle with your right hand, swim your right foot back behind you, and extend out through your left leg. And so you can choose to stay here. If this is not working in your knee, the other thing you can do is remove any of the flesh. So put your thumb there, move the flesh wide, and then that'll help. You might bring the hands back and stay there. You might lift the pelvis and curl the tailbone under, and then lower onto your forearms. You might choose to stay there, or you might lie all the way back down on your backs. And you just choose, and you breathe, and you notice how the breath is doing right here and now. Your breath is your anchor. So can you keep coming back to that? And anytime you get away from it, that's great. Well, anytime you notice that you got away from it, that's great. You just call yourself back. Nice. You got 1 to 2 more breath cycles here. The end of your next exhalation, you'll gently come out of this. So if you just want to roll towards your left, you can roll to your left, release the right leg. Otherwise, if you come back up to sit, release the right ankle long. Cool. Now, the last thing, we haven't done this in a while, so we're going to do this now. We're going to take a variation of fish pose. So you're going to bring both of your hands back behind you. You're going to lower your forearms down to the mat. Now, I want you to activate through your legs. You might lift your tailbone and slide it forward, and then push down into your forearms, hug your shoulder blades together on the back, reach your chest up, your heart up. The gaze might come up, or you might let your head fall all the way back, depending upon what feels good in your neck. But you just breathe. You push down through the forearms, you extend out through your legs. And then when you're ready to come out of it, you tuck your chin to your chest. You release your arms forward, and suddenly we're in a boat pose. And then you're going to lower all the way down. When you find yourself all the way on your back, go ahead and bend your knees. Plant your feet on the floor. Reach your right foot up towards the sky. Cross your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. And then draw the configuration of your legs towards your chest. And then you just pause and you breathe. Make sure you're flexing the right ankle, pressing it into the outer left knee, or into the left knee. The left knee pushes into the outer right ankle. You might rock, you might not. If you're in movement, come to stillness. And then gently release the hands. Draw the left foot back to the floor. Draw the right foot to the floor. And then take a moment to pause. And then when you're ready, you'll try the other side, reaching the left leg up, crossing the left ankle over the top of the right thigh, and then drawing the configuration of your legs towards your chest. And then you pause. Maybe you're in stillness, maybe you're in movement, but can you check in with the breath and see what's going on there? How to make it smoother and more consistent. Nice. If you're in movement, come to stillness. And gently release your hands. Gently release the right foot to the floor, then the left foot next to it. Walk your feet outside of your hips. Let your knees fall in and wrap your arms around your torso. Just pause here and breathe. Notice what this feels like, having the weight of the arms into the chest, having the weight of the knees into each other. Next in-breath, open the arms out. And then exhale, switch whichever arm was on top. And then again, a few more breaths here. How can you really let the arms be heavy? Yep. Really let the full weight of the breath empty and fill the body. Great. And then when you're ready, inhale, open the arms out. Draw the soles of, or rather, walk your feet towards each other. Draw the soles of the feet together and then let the knees open wide. Either allow the arms to extend off the sides of the body or let one hand rest on the heart, the other hand rest on the chest, or on the stomach rather, and just take a few breaths. And you'll stay here for a couple more breath cycles. And then when you're ready, you'll start to make your way to your final resting pose, whether it's Shavasana, whether or not you want to turn this into a supported Supta Baddha Konasana, whether or not you want legs up the wall or something else. But you'll use the opportunity to set yourself up well. And then when you find yourself in your final resting pose, we'll complete the same way that we began. A big breath in, and then an audible breath out. And you'll just take 3 breaths like that. Big breath in, audible breath, letting everything go. Last one, big breath in. After your 3rd exhalation, allow your awareness to rest wherever the breath is most active in your body. So you might find that you can easily contact it in the rise and the fall of the abdomen. You might find that you find the breath more easily in the rib cage as it expands with every in-breath and as it deflates with every out-breath. Maybe you notice the breath most pronounced at the nose, the nostrils, feeling the breath as it culls in on an in-breath and as it releases out through the nostrils on the out-breath. Regardless of where you find your breath most active for you, just allow your awareness to rest on that body part in that section with your breath. And anytime you notice your mind has wandered, started to think or plan or ruminate, no worries. That's a great sign. Simply notice that you're not on your breath and return your awareness to your breath. I'll leave you here with you for a few more moments, a few more breaths. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in. If there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape, by all means, please stay here. When you are ready to move on, allow movement to enter your body in whatever way feels nurturing and nourishing for you at this moment in time. Those in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. Those in movement, you'll start to make your way over to one of your sides and you'll pause there for a couple breaths. Begin to roll your chest more towards the floor. Press into your top hand and start to make your way to a tall seat. And when you're vertical, I do encourage the opportunity to sit on something. And then notice if you want to remove any of the flesh from underneath your sit bones. If you need to circle the shoulders or the shoulders or the neck, just to find the ability to sit tall. And then plant the hands wherever you can, where the heart stays open. Soften the gaze or close the eyes, and you'll just take 3 breaths. No matter what goes on in any given day, we always have the opportunity to reset, to focus, to ground. And all it takes is just an awareness that we're not grounded or not focused or not present, a recommitment to our breath, and then we find that the energy shifts. So we'll go ahead and complete our practice with a collective breath, followed by a collective Om. Guide your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your chest and lift your heart towards your hands. Exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in through your nose. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. Om. Draw your thumbs to your third eye. May our thoughts be clear. Draw your thumbs to your lips. May our words be kind. And draw your thumbs to your heart center. May our hearts be open. The light and the breath within me honors and salutes the light and the breath within each of you. Namaste.